Seder now.
Also now.
You're Seder now.
Yeah, but
Okay, the first thing, it's on, yeah? All right. The first thing before we start is I always want to explain, when it comes to the Seder, when it comes to the Haggadah, and you say the Lubavitcher Haggadah, the Rebbe's Haggadah, so there are three different things that people mix up. So to clarify what the three things are. The first thing is the first thing is the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah, yes?
No, I was going to make a stupid comment, but I'll do it later.
So the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah is as follows. The Alter Rebbe, this is what we call the Seder, this is our Nusach Seder. Now we know that the Alter Rebbe, when he prepared his Siddur, he had 60 other Siddurim in front of him, and he chose from each one the right Nusach, the Nekudas and all that, when he put together his Siddur. When he put together his Siddur, in addition to the regular Seder of davening on a regular day, he obviously had Hallel, and he had Rosh Chodesh davening, and Yom Tov davening, and all the other things that we have to daven. So he also arranged a Haggadah. He also did a Haggadah, and the understanding is that for the Haggadah as well, he had all these other Siddurim in front of him, which many Siddurim out there, especially in the past, also had all the tefillas of the whole year. And here also he chose his specific nusach, how to write the Haggadah.
Do you know which Seder?
We do not know which Siddurim there are, and today researchers have tried to figure out, because even today, we don't know of 60 types of Siddurim. I mean, you can buy thousands of Siddurim just in Art Scroll itself, but they're all the same nusach. To find 60 different nuschos, people are not familiar with what he has. But that's the tradition that we have. No, if you want to say that, that's up to you to say that.
It's a miracle.
What? It's a tradition. It's brought down. It's brought down in proper sources. It wasn't made up. So when it comes to the Alter Rebbe, so just like throughout the Siddur, the Alter Rebbe a lot of times adds a pasuk or takes off a pasuk that everybody else says, or changes nekudas that other people say. Usually he has sources for everything, either in Kabbalah or other Siddurim. But by the Haggadah as well, the Alter Rebbe chose a specific nusach. So just to start off on this page over here, which you should be familiar with, I spoke about this about the halachas of Erev Pesach, the Seder Korban Pesach. The Seder Korban Pesach you can find in probably every Haggadah and every Seder. However, there are slight differences in the wording of the Seder Korban Pesach. So the Alter Rebbe chose a specific nusach, and that's the nusach that we say, which becomes the nusach of the Alter Rebbe. In addition to the actual parts that we say in the Haggadah, the Alter Rebbe also added instructions. Just like we have throughout davening, you have instructions, like little letters that come in between parts. Sometimes these instructions are coming from Shulchan Aruch, which means it was a copy-paste where the printers just put Shulchan Aruch halachis. But sometimes it's coming from the Alter Rebbe's actual Siddur, where he wrote instructions in the Siddur what to do. So you'll see around over here, it says, "Amispal b'yachid." These are words of Alter Rebbe, instructions of a person davening b'yichidus should not say the vayaver, the gilmidus, as we know. Similarly, throughout the Haggadah there are instructions. The instructions are telling us what we have to do. The Alter Rebbe wrote himself, and of course, all here as well, you have the instructions in other Haggadahs. The Alter Rebbe sometimes copy-pasted, sometimes he changed a little bit. So that's the Alter Rebbe's twist, so to speak, on the Haggadah. So when we say the Lubavitcher Haggadah, this is the first thing we're talking about. The nusach of the Alter Rebbe, all the words, all the nekudas, and all the instructions. That's the first thing the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah. Before we move on, just to point out that the Haggadah is the sefer which is the most types printed. Meaning, there might be more chumashim printed in the world, because a lot of shuls have 10, 20, 30, a few hundreds of chumashim, but they're all the same layout. The Haggadah, almost every single year, at least 20, 30 new Haggadahs come out. Rabbanim, Mechabrin, they put out a Haggadah with their pirushim, with their explanations. Also started, maybe 50, 60 years ago, maybe even earlier, promotional Haggadahs. Famously, the Maxwell Coffee House, they put out a Haggadah for promoting their coffee, and other companies do that as well, and they make their own layout with their own pictures. So the Haggadah is the most often printed sefer, more than Tanakh, because there's just every year they print. You don't have two new Chumashim coming out. You have new Chumashim coming out, but people have their own pirushim, but nowhere near as much as Haggadahs. And that is why there are people that have collections of Haggadahs. Meaning many people are into having fancy libraries and stuff like that, but there are people that getting antique Svardim Bechal is a big deal, but antique Haggadahs they can have. So I have friends of mine that have thousands of Haggadahs, all the Haggadahs out there to try to collect, and if you want to keep it up, you can. If you start buying now Haggadahs every year, all the new Haggadahs that come out, and Al Pitava, within the next 10 years, you already have a few hundreds of Svardim in your Haggadahs. You want to go back and buy old ones, it's even a bigger deal. Then you have antique Haggadahs. You have Haggadahs that were penned, that were illustrated by actual artists 300, 400, 500 years ago, these Haggadahs can be very, very expensive. There are some Haggadahs that are unique in the world. They're called the Kitzi Haggadah. Kitzi, I forget, it was the name of a city with an artist that he drew some Haggadahs. Was like a very special Haggadah. And we know Heitevis, when the Rebbe's Sfarim were stolen, so they were stolen. The Sfarim were stolen and were sold. So one of the Haggadahs that were sold from the Rebbe's library was sold for over $100,000. One of the Rabbanim that was, which one was it? I don't remember.
Was it sold to a Jew?
Yeah, obviously, all Yidden. One of the Rabbanim, huh? Yeah, I forget the details, but one of the Rabbanim that was told about, he was asked to get involved, and Allah Baba should have. So he wondered, wow, why is it so expensive? What, Pari himself signed in it? What's so special about it? But the collectors, they pay a lot of money. This is many years ago. Today, you probably can buy Haggadahs that are worth even more than that. So that's a general idea.
You're at like 12,000 Haggadahs in the library.
Yeah. So there's thousands and thousands of Haggadahs out there. So again, so this is the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah. When we say the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah, we mean this layout, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. This Haggadah, which is basically the Alter Rebbe's text, which includes which words he's using, which nekudas he's using, and then his instructions in between what you're supposed to do. So that's the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah. Then we have the Rebbe's Haggadah. What's the Rebbe's Haggadah? The Rebbe, this is the first sefer the Rebbe published. The Rebbe wrote notes explaining the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah. And the notes explained, the Rebbe called it dinim, minhagim, mekoidos v'taimim. So just for example, by the Seder Korban Pesach, so just this, I'm just on this page over here. So for example, the Rebbe writes the source. The Rebbe says, b'shinui loshin k'tzas, this entire piece is it's the instruction. I'm even skipping. The instructions of the Alter Rebbe. In the beginning or before Seder Korban Pesach, so the Rebbe says the Alter Rebbe uses these instructions similar to what the Shalah writes and what it says in Sidur HaArizal. And then in the next piece, the Rebbe bring the Korban Pesach itself. The Rebbe says the Alter Rebbe's version comes from the sefer called Seder Hayoim, and then the Rebbe has a whole pilpul that the Seder Yavitz, who was in times before the Baal Shem Tov, he disagreed with this nusach, which was the Alter Rebbe copied from before, and he had a whole bunch of questions on it. So since the Alter Rebbe uses this nusach, the Rebbe feels the need to defend the Alter Rebbe from the questions of the Yavitz. So that's a whole pilpul over here where the Rebbe goes through the questions of the Yavitz and defending the Alter Rebbe's choice of using the Yavitz. This is one example of many where the Rebbe goes through the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah explaining which psukim that he used and which sometimes the nekudas that he uses and the instructions that he does. And like we said, it's either adding dinim, adding minhagim, dinim and minhagim, two different things, yeah. And then mekoidos sources v'taimim. Because you don't like my jokes, I know. Say this, okay. Don't worry, I'm used to it. Most people don't like my jokes. Yeah, this is supposed to do. Sources and timing explanation. So this is the Rebbe's Haggadah. Now, this is the Rebbe's Haggadah, and when it was originally published, it was published like this. Now, there's a Rav, Rabbi Shlomo Yosef Zevin. Rabbi Zevin, he was a Rav in Yerushalayim. He had a column in a newspaper, which was basically book reviews. He would read books, and he would write a review, but it wasn't books, it was Sfarim. He'd learn a whole sefer, and write artists about the Sfarim. It's an amazing column that he had. Today we can buy it. It's all of his columns are put together in 3 volumes called Sfarim V'Seifrim. And over there he has reviews on tons of Sfarim, and I love the book. It's one of my favorite books. His columns, he writes about people. He puts people down. He makes fun of them. Even people that today are considered the biggest Gedolim.
Like
he writes. But some people he respects so much. I like that too. His way of writing, his way of steching is so sweet. You have to be a Talmud Chacham to get his stech sometimes. I don't always get it, but it's really special. So he wrote a review on Haggadahs, and he mentioned the Rebbe's Haggadah, and he says, if I wouldn't be afraid of the Chassidim, I would say that this Haggadah is a what's the word that he uses? It's a research from the first degree. So Chassidim don't like that term, research, as if the Rebbe is a scholar doing research, but that's why he's Kivyochel saying I'm afraid, but he says it anyway. It's like unbelievable, so amazing.
Who says that?
Rabbi Zev.
What was he?
Oh.
He was a Chabad, he was from Babroisk. Chabad Babroisk. Chabad, after the Samach Tzedek passed away, Chabad broke up into different branches. So the Tafresh Pei Gimel, which is after the Rebbe Rasha passed away, the last of the other tzaddikim of Chabad passed away, and from then on they all came back to the Frierdiker Rebbe. So he became a chassid of Frierdiker Rebbe also, but he wasn't. Whatever. It's a very, very fascinating life story. Rabbi Zevin, one of my favorite rabbis. Al Kopanim. So he just mentions that in passing. Now I mentioned Sfarim on the Haggadah. Every year Chassidim all over the world learn the Rebbe's Agada, and they're medayik, and they go through the Rebbe's chidushim and the Rebbe's sources. Sometimes the Rebbe will bring 3 sources, but if you look in Svardim, you'll find there are 3 other sources. Why did the Rebbe choose these 3 and not those 3? Sometimes the Rebbe will bring 2 sources for one paragraph, and he'll bring source 1 first and source 2 number second, and then in the next paragraph he'll bring those 2 sources with a different order. Why did he change the order right now? So these are things that everything is meduyik. When the Rebbe quotes sometimes Al Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, sometimes he writes Shulchan Aruch Admur Azokin, sometimes he writes Shulchan Aruch Rabbeinu. What's the reason? So there are people that write Pilpulim. The biggest chassid that has the biggest kach in the Rebbe's Agada is by far Rabbi Shochat. Rabbi Shochat we call the Rosh. Rabbi Ezra Shochat is a Rosh Yeshiva in LA, and he has Pilpulim and Pilpulim going on and on. Every single shtickle is well, if you put together all of his Pilpulim in his writing, it could probably be 3-4 volumes thick, just going in the Rebbe's diyukim. So there's a famous story that Rebbe wrote to him once that he shouldn't be medayik kol kach, and he doesn't have to be medayik kol kach in the Agada. So he wrote a whole pilpul on that, medayik kol kach. So much he shouldn't be medayik, but or by a nakuda, like a period where the period, the comma is, it's like everything is medayik, and he brings out the goinus in a way that's beyond. So there's no one like the Rosh. He's considered one of the biggest Talmidei Chachamim in the world, especially in Chabad. But many other lesser people also use their own opportunity to try to learn and study and try to figure out. On the most basic level, you read through the Agada, you see the Rebbe's sources, you see what the Rebbe is saying. And the Pilpulim and the stuff, you can once in a while take the other Svardim and see what they, like Rabbi Spalter from Maristown, Rabbi Zayins from Maristown, I think also many other Chassidim have written either Svardim or at least Pilpulim. In the Hakevtzei Ha'aris, every year at this time, everyone's writing about the Rebbe's Agada. So that's the Rebbe's Agada. Now originally, it was published like this, without the actual Haggadah. It was published like this. So if you wanted to use the Rebbe's Agada, you had to have a real Agada, and you had to have the Rebbe's Pirush, and you used them both at the Seder one by one. Later, they published it together in one volume. So this is what most of you, I imagine, are familiar with, which you have at home, which is basically the Alter Rebbe's Agada on top and the Rebbe's Agada on the bottom. This is already also a new layout, because originally it was page by page. You had a page of Haggadah like this, and then you had a page on the side like this next to it. And that became complicated because sometimes it doesn't fit. So they ended up making a layout like this, and also the Rebbe added a few things over the years. So, but now this is the most common layout, which most bachrim, most homes, I should say, have a Haggadah like this. Now this type of Haggadah, yeah.
Do they have this translated into English?
Yes, they have many translations into English. Rabbi Shanowitz, I think his name is Rabbi Shanowitz. Shanowitz or Chanovich, I forget how to pronounce his name. He's a Malamed in Bavitch Yeshiva. He was a Malamed for many years. He wrote called the Q&A Haggadah, which basically every single paragraph, instead of writing it, he just asks a question and says, and the answer is so and so, and he brings the Rebbe's answer in English. Sometimes it's just a source. He'll ask, what's the source? And then he'll bring that. But usually it's more of a whole explanation. So that's one of many, but many are translated, the Rebbe's Haggadah. So many of you might have a little small pamphlet, a booklet, that's like the original, that's the Rebbe's Haggadah, and that's it. Some of you might have a volume like this, which just is thicker. The reason why it's thick is because the actual Haggadah of the Rebbe and the Alter Rebbe finishes over here. This is the whole Haggadah. So you might have a booklet at home, which is basically this thick. This is the entire Haggadah. What's all the rest? All the rest is sichos and letters of the Rebbe over the years that the Rebbe spoke about Pesach. The Rebbe would send a michtav kloli, a general letter to Klal Yisrael before every Pesach, and those letters were always teaching about Pesach and giving more instructions. The Rebbe said many sichos about Pesach, and in private letters, also some correspondence with Chassidim. For example, Rabbi Zevin asked the Rebbe questions about the Haggadah, and Rebbe wrote back to him, so back and forth, and others as well. So those are printed in the back, and this is only Chelek Aleph. Chelek Beis, which is floating around Zal also, Chelek Beis is even thicker, because it has even more sichos. So the old volume was just a one thick volume of the Rebbe's Haggadah plus all the sichos and Mamorim, and not Mamorim, sorry, sichos and letters. And then the second, now they made it bigger, so they made it into 2 separate volumes. Volume Beis,
No Mamorim?
they are Mamorim also, but they're not printed in here. Volume Beis doesn't have the actual Haggadah itself. The second volume doesn't have the spire, only has the Rebbe's Biyudim. So if you see Chelek Aleph and Beis is just for learning. You can't use it at the Seder.
There's only 2, there's no 3.
No, as far as I know, there's only 2 volumes. Yes.
My house, I have one was like this thick.
That's an old volume, but probably some thicker papers. But
It's white.
Huh?
It's white one.
Maybe it's a thicker cover. But if it's only one, maybe your father combined both together. I'm not sure.
No, it's just it's actual Haggadah. It's white. It's like that thick. It's very thick.
But the Rebbe's Haggadah with all the
Yeah.
biyurim. So fine, good, but usually today they're own two. Maybe they made a different print that was bigger. So that's when we say the Rebbe's Haggadah, we're referring to the Rebbe's Biyurdim on the bottom, which, like we said, we can talk about forever. And I mean, I can't do it, but I know that many people, and each thing they're medayik, and I heard some shiurim from the Rosh. It's amazing what he does, how he's medayik and makes chidushim agapi chidushim. Yeah.
You have to hurry up because people are already falling asleep.
Chabarai, sleep now, so we are by the Seder night. So that's when we say the Haggadah. So these are two things. There's the Alter Rebbe's Haggadah, then there's the Rebbe's Haggadah. Then there's something else. Then there's the Rebbe's Seder. The Rebbe's Seder is something unique that the Rebbe started that the other Rebbeim didn't do. The other Rebbeim, this Seder is the Rebbe's Seder. The other Rebbeim, when they had their Seder, it was only private for the close Chassidim and family, and nobody else was invited in. And therefore, no one was able to observe how the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab, and so on performed their Seder, besides a select few. And these were people that, they weren't going to go share what they saw and the Rebbe doing in private. However, our Rebbe started a new thing, where the Rebbe allowed everybody to come to visit the Seder. The Rebbe allowed all the Bachrim to come and see the Seder. They couldn't sit and do their whole Seder there. But as soon as you finish your Seder at home, you can go into the Rebbe's room, and you can observe how the Rebbe is performing a Seder. The Rebbe did this till the year Tov Lamed Aleph.
Crowd around him while he was eating.
Yes, they weren't. Yes. There's a few stories about it. But they was coming later. It wasn't like a whole. The Rebbe's Shulchan Aruch was the most boring part of the Seder. It sounds like almost nothing happened over there. Very little food. Everyone just took 2 spoons of soup, whatever. Very minimal. But but it was a big crowd. There's a story about that. I'll get to that in a moment. But this happened until Tov Lamed Aleph. Tov Lamed Aleph has stopped. Why? So the Rebbe's mother-in-law, he says, the Rebbe's Rebbetzin passed away. So, and what happened was, until then, while she was alive, she had a Yom Tov Suda upstairs in 770 with older Chassidim, and that was all the Yom Tovim. However, Pesach specifically, that's when everybody else was invited. Once she passed away, when did she pass away? Tov Lamed Aleph. What day was it? Huh? Close?
No.
Close? Yud Tevis. Asora B'Tevis. She passed away. Why are you hitting him? You got it right.
Pat on the back.
Huh? Oh, okay. That's good.
Makes sense.
Asora B'Tevis. Huh? Asora B'Tevis is Tavshin Lamed Aleph. She passed away, and from then on, the Rebbe stopped. There was no more, so to speak, reason to make a Suda upstairs, at least in that regard. So therefore, the Rebbe started making the Seder at home. And when he was at home, there was only one person that was there. Who was there? No. No. There was one. He just passed away a year ago. Gansberg was the only one that was there. He served, and he was the only one, and he never shared officially when I went over there. Maybe individuals, but as far as I know, he did.
They tried kicking out.
What?
They did kick him out.
They did kick.
Who kicked him out?
He got kicked out of Rebbe's house. Okay, whatever. It's politics.
Oh, this is today now.
It's like recently, yeah.
Yeah, now he passed away. He's for sure kicked out. That was Bechlal in the house, but at the Seder night, as far as I know, only Gansberg was there. He sat with them. He sat with them Bechlal by all their meals together. The Rebbe and the Rebbe. It's so awkward. It's awkward. Huh? Yeah, there's many stories about Akapanim. Yeah.
So the beginning was in his room, Rebbe's office.
No, it was upstairs in 770. Upstairs 770 is what it's like a dining room. The Frierdiker Rebbe lived. It was his apartment. So his house where he lived, and it was a dining room, and that's where it was. So now, so who would come and observe the Rebbe Seder? So if a person that was a husband was a father, he had to go home and do his own Seder. So some people would go more or less try to rush it, and at the end they would come to 770 and catch towards the end. But the Bachrim had a Seder in the yeshiva lunchroom, and then they would rush as quickly as they can because no one you have to answer to, and then they would rush to the Rebbe's Seder. And what happened was the Rebbe would often, before he did his own Seder, he would go around Crown Heights to different moisdes. He went to what was it called?
Free.
What was all J.J. Hecht's organizations?
Yeah.
Something Chana.
Chana, yeah, what's it called? Machan Chana, Beis Chana, I'm forgetting what's it called. Not Camp Amunah, no, he didn't go to Camp Amunah. About Shuvah, think about Hadar Torah, and the 770, and I think by the Persians when they were there also, because he went around. And he also came to 770, not 770, 770 is lunchroom, which was on 1440. And the Rebbe came there as well, and the cook would stand there, and the Rebbe would tell her, "Thank you for cooking." It was like there's a lot of stories that happened on the night of Pesach. And one of the things are so what I want to say is that the Bachrim they prepared the Seder plate, and then the Rebbe would come and the Rebbe would see that everything is there would be comments and stuff like that. Yeah,
The Bachman didn't go home.
the Bachrim that were from overseas, Israeli Bachrim and stuff like that. So they had no, or even in America, but not. They wanted to be in 770 as much as possible, so they weren't home. So the story goes is that the Bachrim they prepared their whole Seder plate. And then when the Rebbe walked in, so they're in the middle of the Seder, so it's not going to look nice. So what they would do is, as we'll get to it soon, when you make the Seder, so in middle of Magid, your Seder plate looks the same besides one thing. What looks different? Karpas is not there. Because the minig is not to put the karpas back on. The minig is. It says clearly that's our minig, not to put it back on. But here the Bachrim broke the minig. They put the karpas back onto the plate, because before the Rebbe came, they already started Kaddish, Urchatz, and Yachatz, Magid, and then in the middle, they were saying Magid, and they had a cup of wine full, so it looks like it's regular. And then they put the karpas back on, so it looks like they're prepared and they didn't start yet. And when the Rebbe left, they zipped till the end, and when they finished, they were able to run and see the whole Seder. So they were outside the Bachrim that were able to see the whole Seder, and they barely ate. The Bachrim saying that. So one of the famous people that was there is Rabbi Fitcher Ofen. He's a mashpia in Tzvas. Every year he gives a shir and he goes through whatever he saw. There's recording. It's online. You can see videos. What's very everything else is special, but one of the special things he likes a lot is throughout the Haggadah, the Rebbe was quiet, and when the Rebbe davened, you can never hear the Rebbe davening. But the end of Magid, but then not by Magid, by Halal Nirtzah, by Nishmas, the Rebbe would like daven out loud as if he's davening by Arichas. And the Rebbe would sing and almost cry in like a very special tune. So Rabbi Fitcher often always goes over and over. I forget the tune, but he sings it. And and the Rebbe was like, as they said, that was like the highlight, the Beruchnis of the Seder. But he goes through every year all the details what was there. Yeah. Not by Magid. Well, he was quiet the whole time, but by Nishmas at the end, by Halal Nirtzah. Or that party was from Shvei Chamoscha, I think. From Shvei Chamoscha, he would start like Shvei Chamoscha, because a special name he would say.
Did either Bachman try chopping matzah and stuff?
No, the Bachim didn't touch anything. They stood from far. So now there were different years that different things happened. So one of the big shilas, so the people asked, did the Rebbe crack the egg or not? So a lot of times the egg rolls off the kairas, or pointing cracking or not. So it seems like it happened once or twice that it cracked. And there's other people that were there also. There's Rabbi Chitrik from Tzfas also, and he also says over every year what he saw. And there's a number of people that were there, and some of them have slightly differences of opinions about certain things, which the simple answer could be that it depends on the year, what happened. Sometimes they argue about that same year itself what happened, but could be. They can only write things down after Yom Tov, so the two Sdarim. So basically they had about, I think it was 18 years that they were able to see the Rebbe Seder. And then it stops. And 1 year, Taki, because it was so crowded, the Rebbe said, and they broke something because it was too crowding. The Rebbe said, no,
Broke a window.
they broke a window. Wasn't I think it was a break front or something. A cheer or a break front, I
It
forget.
was 2 different years. So the one you're thinking about that hurt.
So something was saying already. There's different opinions. What happened? I don't
No,
remember.
it was a different year.
Yeah. That's fine. That's the Bashli Sheikh Rebbe name. And then the Rebbe said no one can come in. And then the shluchim that came back from Australia. It's like a lot of pratim stories about how that all worked out. So what I want to say with all this is that when people say the Rebbe Seder, they usually refer to what the Rebbe did at the Seder, which are things that do not say in the actual Haggadah. Meaning, whatever it says in the Haggadah, the Rebbe did, obviously. But then there are details which are not said, which people point out that the Rebbe did like this or like that. So that's something else, the Rebbe Seder. So there are people that they try to copy whatever the Rebbe did at the Seder, which is, you have to know what the Rebbe did different years, but that's a third subject which is not connected to that's not the Haggadah, and that, it is written up, but like I said, it's written up slightly different by different people. All right, yes. So the guy who read the Haggadah, his name was Rabbi Katz, Mr. Katz, whatever, and he had a son, and his son was the one that asked the Kafir Kashas. Yeah. Huh? No, it's not the same Katz from Chicago.
You take it.
Oh, there's Rabbi Katz. Yeah, him also, and also the one from Chicago. He did the Shiloh, so as far as I know. And there's tons of stories of jokes and things that happened over there, and maybe as we go by, we'll go through. Okay, so that was a general introduction. Now we're going to start with the actual Haggadah, and we're going to try to see. So, Seder Haggadah. Now, the instructions, so the Rebbe says to do a Mak Seder to show how it's meant to be done or how it's done. I'm going to use just to make a Mak Seder? For sure, the Rebbe's instructions. Word out, fulfilling the Rebbe's Zaydah. It's a big mitzvah. The Rebbe says to do it in all yeshivas. For some reason, it's only done in kindergartens. I think it should be done everywhere because there's so. Every time we do it, Racham enjoyed, and there's so much that could be added. So I'm going to have these open in front of me. Now the Rebbe says, so again, the minig is that we say the instructions as well. Throughout davening, whenever there's instructions, you don't always read the instructions. You just say whatever has to be said, and that's it. But by the Agada, the minig is to say the instructions quietly besides the Agada. So it says, Yisader al shulchanei ka'ara begimel matzes munachim zelzeh. You have to set up a ka'ara. What does a ka'ara mean?
Plate.
Ka'ara means a bowl. A kaida means a bowl. Now, so this is we'll do our surveys again. How many people does their father have a plate under his kaida?
Assuming Alpha.
Huh?
All my siblings do also.
All your siblings have plates also, silver plates.
Not silver, just plastic.
And your father has?
Yeah.
Plastic or silver?
Just plastic.
Plastic. And you have?
Plastic.
And your father?
The whole thing
Oh, everyone plastic. You?
is silver.
Your father has silver. And what do you have?
I have regular.
Plate or just a kaida? A plate also. You have?
No, I have like regular, I don't know, napkins or
Okay, so to point out, when most people say kaida, they mean that velvet round piece that has the three compartments to put matzahs inside. That's what we call the kaida. That's not a real kaida. That's a piece of material, a fabric that's made. But kaida means a plate. Now, some people are not familiar with the Rebbe had a silver. It says that the Beis Harav has to have a silver plate. Not Beis Harav, not the Rebbe. It's unclear. So as we see, some people put a plate under their thing. Some people nobody does it. Some people only the father does it. And like we said, whatever your parents do, you should be doing. But there's room to say a kaida. Now, what I like to say is that the not Chabad world, their kaida looks like a parking garage. Like you just go around and around and around, and sometimes there are lights. It looks very, very cool. I'd love to have such a thing, but that's not our minute. Our minute. We have just the well.
Nobody knows what to do. Except for Beis Harav.
What?
You just said the only thing we know is Beis Harav.
Beis Harav had a silver plate underneath their kaida. The Rebbe had these pictures of the Rebbe's, what the Rebbe used. You can see the Friedrich Rebbe's and the Rebbe's. And the Rebbe, before Pesach Tavshin Yud, the Rebbe sent someone to buy a silver plate. And that was like a simon that the Rebbe sees because it was only the Rebbe supposed to have a silver plate. So that was a simon.
it's only a thing by the Rebbe?
There is no official meaning, but Lepayel, no Lubavitchers have the parking garage.
There's like 8 scientists.
Don't say that that's the minute.
A lot of stickims there, huh?
Rabbi, the point that you have the same 3 in the same car is the park.
But you know what I'm talking about? No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's you see them in
Specifically by
the
the Rebbe?
Rebbe didn't have that. The Rebbe
No,
had a
I'm
silver
saying
plate.
the silver plate is something specific.
Yeah,
to Beis
silver
Harav.
plate. Yeah,
It's not at all.
it's just the Rebbe. And what?
Just for show.
What? Oh, because we're supposed to have a kaida or something like that. Many people don't have anything. Many people don't have. Like most people don't have anything at all. Right? That's what it seems like, right? Who has nothing? Are all under the kaida? I'm the only one.
What do you mean nothing at all?
You just have that.
Plate that holds all the stuff?
You have a plate on top.
No.
You have just the material, the fabric. Anything you plate
Sometimes
underneath
you have a
it.
table under.
I usually go to sleep.
That's what we're saying.
Why should people do it? What's the market for doing it for yesterday?
Because the Rebbe said, the diuk is that only the Rebbe has a silver one. Everyone else has a plain one. Some people say only the Rebbe has a silver plate. Everyone else doesn't have a plate at all.
Is there a place where it says this is a specific Beis Harav?
Yeah, it says specifically. Maybe it says it even
Not
down
like it's
also.
not a relevant.
Yeah, that's what's understood. Only it says as a lotion that only the Rebbe has it.
You're putting already a silver bowl, not just having that and having a massive.
And before Tavshin Yud, the Rebbe didn't have a
The parking garage.
Before Tavshin Yud, the Rebbe didn't have
Here, it says clearly the Rebbe's agodi. The Beis Harav misaden amatzes al amapa v'lo yal ka'ara milvad ha'admur a misaden amatzes al tashel kesef. And the Rebbe has a silver plate. So it's l'chayra meduyik from here that no one else has a plate. Yet many people, as we see, have plates. Yeah.
What type of plate was it?
What type of plate did the Rebbe have? It was a silver, like a magash. Magash?
Tray.
Tray. Okay, silver platter, tray. Yeah. You can see pictures of it. It's a rectangle like this. Huh?
What brand?
What's the man?
What brand?
What brand was it? You can see the actual picture. I'm surprised that they don't sell it in that soif. You know, they get the Rebbe's a replica of the Rebbe's a Becher, the Rebbe's
If it's something-
Leichters and
If
everything.
it's specifically something for the Rebbe, so then
But many people have it also. So make a plastic piece like that. Now, to continue. The Rebbe's silver plate was usually not visible. It was covered. The Rebbe did not have the round thing that most of your fathers have. The Rebbe only had the silver plate and it was covered on top with not napkins,
Handkerchief.
cloths. There were cloths. Now a cloth, it was one cloth. How was the cloth? So it looked like this. Imagine a big cloth, bigger than this. When you fold it over like a napkin, so yeah, and just a little bit, so supposed to be folded off. So you fold it over one, you fold it over a second time, and now I have 3 places to put stuff inside. 1, 2, 3. So that's how the Rebbe made his kaida. It was, I guess, a bigger sized piece of cloth, maybe the size of a pillowcase or something, and then there was this silver plate, and then he folded it over, and that was one big piece. So that's what the Rebbe did. Now, most people do not do that. Most people just have the round thing, right? Does anybody do that? What I just did the cloths at home? No one does that. You're planning on, your father does that?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a round piece?
Yeah, I did it last year.
But your father has a round thing?
What?
Your father has a round thing or not?
What do you mean round thing?
It's like a circle.
Beryl, does your father have a round thing? Huh?
The thing on top?
No, the round velvet material. So what does he put everything in the matzah? He folds the thing also. Oh, there you go. So people wonder where Menachem gets the Schmitzkais from. Now we understand. All right. But your father has a round one.
I don't know. Well, around what?
The round, where do you put the matzahs inside? Those round
Yeah, I
velvet?
think so, yeah.
So what do you get your Schmitzkais from? All right. So what we're going to do now, not spitz, we're not going to do the round thing, we're not going to have one folded over, we're just going to have 3,
Wait, the Rebbe's father wasn't Spitz, so I'm even more Spitz because my father's not Spitz.
Oh,
no, according to the Yerushalmi, the tom is called a tipish, not a tom, so maybe that's what we need you here for. All right.
Yeah. Sure.
Not sure, I'm saying maybe. All right, so we're just going to have 4, עכשיו אתה צוחק, זה מצחיק אותך. But במנהגים you don't like.
It wasn't funny, I was laughing at the whole situation. It was happening.
It wasn't funny, the situation was funny. Why you want to dab dab? No.
I'm now.
I bless you that one day that your Talmudim are going to not laugh at your jokes also. And you'll be very insulted. All right, we're going to use now matzahs. These matzahs.
we eat the square matzah before.
No, we spoke about this now. I mean, the minhag is not.
not kosher.
Especially these that are kosher LaPesach matzahs is even more of an issue. But they're kosher LaPesach matzahs have nothing else besides unbleached, unbromated, Passover wheat flour and water only. Pas Yisrael, Kemach Yoshon,
We dip
Rosh
it in
Hashanah
water,
Kedim.
so it's easy.
Dip it in water, it'll become kitnius, yeah. Sure. And then if you blow it on Lag BaOmer, it'll turn to Shalach Manos, and then you can even have it as the breakfast for Tisha B'Av. All right.
Make sure you
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so you're supposed to only have round matzahs, hand-made matzahs, shmura matzahs. We spoke about this already in the other year. So now you're putting inside. So could be the avid, should be the avid, yeah.
It's a base kibble.
wrong one.
Oh, I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So now, Yisadar Ashluchani Ka'ora Begimel Matzis Munachim Zalza. So now comes everyone sitting around the table. So, was this another question? Does everybody here have their own matzahs and their stuff on top, or only your father has? Who only their father has? Nobody. Who started only by bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
You started earlier?
Sorry.
You didn't start yet? You never had one yet? So you don't have your own kaida and everything? Cool. Are you going to have one this year?
Probably. For sure. I'll convince my father to.
All right. So, yeah.
No, I got one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so everyone you come home from this. So most of you have that round piece of material, and now you're taking your matzahs. So there's a box of matzahs, and everyone goes back and forth to get their matzahs. We spoke about burning the edges, so you take 3 matzahs. Now it says you put them in. The Seder is HaYisrael v'Olav HaLevi, which means you have to put the Yisrael in first. So you put it on the bottom. Now, how do you put it? So the Rebbe says in that order, you're supposed to put them in the way of a keli. I don't know if it says it over here. It says it somewhere. Base kibble. So it has to be. So as you see, every matzah has slightly has like an indent. So you have to make a tibble, which basically means upside down. Because when the matzah is baked in the oven, so it pops up a bit. So now you're making it upside down the way it was originally, and you put it like this. So you put it on the bottom one, and the minhag is most people as they put it, they say HaYisrael v'Olav HaLevi, and then you go weiter v'Olav HaLevi v'Olav HaKohen. You put all 3 of them. That's how people do it. And each one, as you put in, you say it as you're going along. What?
It's not full.
You say by each one?
Yes, as you put in Yisrael, va'olav halevi, va'olav hakohen.
Is there for that, or that's what people do?
That's what people do. That's the minhag that I have in my family. Does anyone have different than minhagim with their family? Everyone does the same thing, right? Your father doesn't do that. No one else does it? Your father does it? Your father does it? Your father does it?
Probably makes sense.
I never saw this.
Your father does it?
You might just say
Your father does it?
His father also does it.
Whole family does it.
Yeah, everyone does it. Most people do it like that. There might be people that don't, but many Bachim don't know what their parents do, so pay attention what you do. All right. Now we have the matzahs set up inside our kaida. Now you're putting the matzahs inside, so most of the kaidas are a lot bigger than the standard size matzah, so you want to put them, so that it's complicated. You don't want to put them too close to the edge because then they can get touched and broken. You want to put them too deep into the back, and then it's hard to pull them out afterwards. You want to put them nice in middle, as they should be easy access. Akopanim. We have now everything, all the matzahs inside. Now, va'olav liyamin hazroya. So most families, you have a bowl with the zroyas, and you take each one takes a zroya, correct? Yeah, a plate, a bowl or a plate. So here, I want to point out that we spoke about the zroya yesterday. I talked saw that the reason why some people do blow torches and not roast it in the oven is because they're concerned that when the pan heats up, it'll cook the zroya, and the zroya is meant to be cooked dafka by fire, by nothing else. So a blowtorch is directly on
Only
it.
by the carbon paste.
Yeah, but Rabbi Brian says over here to be makbid also. Rabbi Brian has tons of cool hummus.
Yeah, cool.
All right, so we have over here chicken bone. We got it, and we put it. Now, if there's a question. So over the years, we find that there's basically three ways of putting the stuff. Four. I'm sorry. There are four ways amongst the families that we've had in Postville so far. How do they put their items? I don't want to touch it. This is gross. We'll leave it inside the bag. But how do you put it on top of your kaida? So some people, I'm going to say all four ways, and then we'll take surveys to see what's most common. Yes.
Are you allowed to leave the head on?
Can you leave the head on? That was asked before. The minhag is that we don't. Some people take a piece of a napkin, they fold it over, and they put each item of the six, as we'll see, on top of a napkin. Some people have miniature plates, miniature small bowls, and they put each item in a little container. Some people have, this is a very unique minhag, which is only my family that I know, one other bacha did it as well. They put a piece of lettuce under each item. Each item has its own piece of lettuce. So you have 6 pieces of lettuce besides lettuce over there. That's a third way. And then there's a fourth way of putting it directly on the thing without anything else. All those that use napkins, raise your hand.
Oh, yeah. I think I use it because of the shirt.
All those that use bowls, raise your hand. All those that put it directly on the kaida without anything, raise your hand. We did both. Mini bowls, usually smaller containers like this one. We'll get to that in a minute.
Right.
Who does the lettuce? Nobody, right? And the only time that I found someone that does is a Yerushalmi. Now my grandfather was a Yerushalmi, and he had probably anything from his father. Exactly. It's very possible. It's not another joke. Yerushalmi. So the one bacher that did it also, that I remember who it was. I don't remember who it was, but it was a Yerushalmi also.
Love it.
So there's a different minhag. All right. So the whole thing. So you put it, and now you're supposed to pull off we spoke about pulling off the chicken that's there. You have to do it right now. It's probably already burnt enough as it is. So we're just going to go by the most common minhag, which I think the Rebbe did this as well, with napkins, putting the zroya on the napkins. All right. Now we have that, and then ukenegdoi lismoy labeitza. To the left of it, corresponding to it, you put the egg. So here also you have all the hard-boiled eggs on the table. What?
You also say
everything, everything as you put, you say. That's what most people do. That's the minute. So now is the big shaila, huh? Because of the situation, not because of the joke. So the problem is when you put it on, often it goes flying, and that's a problem. So what do you do? So everybody. You give it a little zest, huh? It's a raw egg, so I can't stop.
That's why you could.
So then you put all of the smile, connect the smile abetza. Tachteyem be'emtza ha-moder. So here we have the motor. So this is kosher for motor. And the point that I doubt we'll get there, but this is the point out also that really you can be yaitz in the mitzvah of motor with only eating this. The whole white piece, either the shredded part or just the hard pieces, all that, and the chumras we spoke about. You can be yaitze this. That's the minhag. The minhag is to take this and both. The minhag is to take both of them. The Rebbe says clearly that's the minhag. It says the losh in the
I
minhag.
didn't say anything.
You have shluchim.
Orality Chashi. That's Monday. That could die.
Instead of putting out the lettuce, do you eat the lettuce that's under all?
No, I don't know. It's a strange minhag because I thought whenever you grow up, you think this is normal, right? That's what you see every single Seder. So I did it; it was normal, and then I found that no one else does it. Then I realized that it doesn't make sense. Ma kesher. This is mutter. Why put mutter everywhere else? But that's what they did.
Like most things you do.
Hmm?
Like most things you do.
Your grandfather ran out of napkins one year.
Could be, that's right. No, but I'll do the Shalmi also.
Yes,
He also ran out of
There's
napkins.
a line. There were napkins one year. Let me just use lettuce. It became a minute.
Have you put a piece of lettuce on top, underneath a piece of lettuce?
No, I don't do it. I go by napkins. My grandfather does lettuce, but I mean, and most of my family still does it also. I mean, all my cousins and everything. But no, just the lettuce itself is a lettuce, and it's the mutter on top of it. Maybe there might be 2 layers of lettuce just have from formal from the mutter.
Can you eat both of them? Would you eat both of them?
Would I?
Yes. I'm saying like, do you eat both of them? Like when you put the mar on top, you just.
After when we get the mutter, we'll see. By the mutter, you eat all of it. Yeah.
No. I'm saying like. 'cause
You put the lettuce
under
under the mar.
So do you eat the lettuce also? That's under it.
Oh,
Yeah.
with the egg, so you eat the lettuce.
your-
and
it's your
the-
bowl.
My grandfather was like this. Yeah, there was everywhere, and then there was then there was the one that had over here its own stack of lettuce plus all the shredded part. So all the rest we didn't touch. All we didn't touch. And then this one we had to eat. My mother just like this one.
When you just had like lettuce, piled on lettuce, you eat all the lettuce.
You have to have the shear, whatever the shear is. Yeah.
No, I'm saying like,
Yeah. You take the bottom one too.
so then there's no more on the top.
Right. At that point already, by mother, the whole card is falling apart anyway. There's
So
nothing
what
left of
about,
it.
what about the heavy mar, like the horseradish? Do you eat the lettuce with the horseradish?
For sure. That's
No,
what
I'm saying like the one that's full of horseradish.
yeah.
Such your mouth.
Are you asking seriously?
It didn't work. It didn't work.
Are you kidding me? Or serious?
I'm serious.
You have the horseradish and you have the lettuce on as a base for it, and you eat the whole thing together afterwards. Yeah.
What do you put the egg on top?
By nothing else. All the other lettuces remain on the kite.
Okay.
I don't know why my grandfather did it, but all my cousins still do it.
Eat the carpos with the lettuce also?
No, the only lettuce we eat is the lettuce by the mother and the
Eat the
chazan.
chicken bone with the lettuce.
You take off the lettuce after you're done?
What's the man?
You do it to your kids' ass.
I don't do it. No. No, I don't do it.
Didn't you say you just do it?
My grandfather did it. As a kid, I always did it.
So all your cousins do this.
Well, my cousins do it, but I don't do it. I assume my cousins, my uncles, I think everyone does it still. I'm doing that. What? Why don't I do it? Because I started, when I got married, I started doing my Seder, my in-laws, and they didn't do it. So I didn't want to be different. I did what they did, and then that's like it became my minute. I feel like
Your minig.
it became my minute. I feel that it's fine to adopt minhagim from your in-laws. Which is you marry one day, all of you, so you can take your father-in-law's minhag. As long as it should make sense. Yeah, you shouldn't just all the coolest, all the chumrous, but you should make sense. Minhagim that makes sense. What? What? If you're gonna marry my cousins, nah, come on, don't do that. It's on video. It's Seder. So I'm not. No one's gonna watch it anyway.
No.
All right. Huh?
I'm posting on YouTube.
Post it. It's for one person only. Okay.
No.
That's all.